Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And before we go and begin, if you are watching this, then you may have noticed that there are a little altercations or a little changes is probably the best word for it, with the little template that I have surrounding me here. You may notice that there's a little bit more color and there's a little bit more decorations that's surrounding the screen here. Well, that is actually mainly because there was a friend of mine who saw my podcast and asked if I could do some small changes. It's like, give me the file, I'll do some little changes for you. And from there we talked about like what to do to improve some stuff, and like they are minor, they are pretty small. Like you'll notice a bit more color on the signs where it would have my social media links and stuff like that. But you know, like I said, they're little insignificant changes, but they don't really change much of the spirit of the show. It is still lively, it is still crazy, and we will still have a fun time. And if you are only listening to this, then I'm pretty sure that what I've just said means pretty much nothing for you because you are only using your ears to listen to this podcast. Alright, but in all seriousness now, this episode is definitely going to be a lot of fun. I got some surprises for you all in terms of what I'm going to be talking about, and also we are going to be looking at some major news that really shook up the animation community. Like, these are really some of the most talked about, not just animation news, but some of them are very much like some of the biggest entertainment news that we have gotten this week. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are we all ready for this? Come on, let me hear it now. Alright, let's see. Are we ready? Yes, okay, some people are ready. Well, one says nope, but that's his problem, or her problem, or whatever. Let's see, yes, okay, so people are now ready. That is great to hear. So now, with all that said and done, let us now go and officially get this started. And with our first story, it actually seems to be a bit of a coincidence, because you may recall in the excuse me. That was my lunch trying to say hello to you all. But anyways, as I was talking about, you may recall last week that I talked about a trailer of a certain documentary that's going to be coming out very soon, which is called Happy Happy Joy Joy, the Ren and Stimpy story, which goes into the history of the making of Ren and Stimpy, the impact that it had for future cartoons and many more animated series to come, and also the controversies that went behind it, especially regarding its creator, John Kricfalusi. Well, it looks like another bit of news came in that made Ren and Stimpy a little more relevant, but the reactions to that one, oh boy, did it really explode the internet, especially in the animation side of things. And what I'm going to be talking about will be regarding the Ren and Stimpy reboot. Yes, folks, it is official. Viacom CBS, more specifically Comedy Central, has announced that they are going to be making a reimagining of the cult classic Nickelodeon series, The Ren and Stimpy Show. This is actually going to be a part of their lineup of rebooting adult animated content for Comedy Central specifically, because right now they seem to have a massive collection of bringing back old properties. Not long ago, they have announced that they're going to bring back Beavis and Butthead along with the creator, Mike Judge. They're going to bring back Clone High along with the creators of that show as well, like Bill Lawrence, Phil Lord, and Chris Miller. I believe that's Bill's name. If I'm wrong on that, you can feel free to correct me. And in a way, Daria is kind of coming back, but not necessarily, because it's actually a spin-off of Daria called Jody. So that's pretty much the big plan that Comedy Central wants to do with their adult animation lineup on top of already having South Park. So they want to go and include Ren and Stimpy with this one. Now, with this show in particular, what's interesting to note is that this is actually going to be a collaboration between Comedy Central and Nickelodeon Animation Studios. And they have stated, like, one thing that they've really boasted about this series is that they are going to have a brand new crew to recreate Ren and Stimpy. So basically meaning that none of the original people that did work on the original series is going to be coming back to work on this. So no John Kay, no Bob Camp, none of the people really, at least that have been confirmed to come back. The only one that has seemed to have returned, according to some reports, is that they said that Billy West might come back as the voice of Ren and Stimpy. In fact, I actually do have a quote right over here, which is going to be from Chris McCarthy, the president of Viacom CBS Entertainment and Youth Group, in which he states, "We are excited to reinvent this iconic franchise with a new creative team and our partners at the Nickelodeon Animation Studio. Ren and Stimpy joins our rapidly expanding roster of adult animation, including South Park, Beavis and Butthead, and Clone High, as we continue to reimagine our treasure chest of beloved IPs for new generations." So that's pretty much the big thing about this, is that Ren and Stimpy is going to be coming back on Comedy Central as part of their big plan to rebooting many adult animated series so that they could join forces with South Park to strengthen Viacom CBS's adult animation lineup. Now, of course, the reactions is exactly what you would expect. There were a lot of people that were angry, and this has gotten some very significant backlash. And considering that this is a cartoon reboot, what the fridge else is new? I mean, that seems to be the common reaction that you would expect when it comes to cartoon reboots nowadays. It's almost like instinctive that people would go and be just enraged and let off some steam on social media whenever they would hear about a reboot of a classic animated property or something that many people would consider nostalgic, especially when it comes to Ren and Stimpy, which was one of the first major successful Nickelodeon shows. However, in this case right over here, it's actually a little bit different. In this case, it's not like the other reactions of cartoon reboots, because whenever you would think about the announcements of other rebooted shows, stuff like Teen Titans Go, or the Powerpuff Girls reboot in 2016, or Thundercats Roar, usually they would come from triggered fanboys, the ones who grew up with the original series that started it all, and then they see this new reboot, and they notice that it's a little bit different than before, and they get massively upset, and they fully enrage, and you know the drill. You know how, like, you've seen the kind of reactions that end up sparking from this, and more often than not, would often really take things too far, and often they get their emotions get the best of them to the point that ultimately they really don't seem to know what they are talking about. That generally is the case, or at least that is something that I have learned from noticing the variety of reactions from Thundercats Roar. However, like I said before, this is different. This is not the case. The people who are the most upset about this is not from angry Ren and Stimpy fans. It's not that at all. But rather, it's actually from artists and animators working in the industry. Now, you might be thinking, well, are those people upset that they're bringing back Ren and Stimpy because it's a reboot of like a favorite and they don't want Nickelodeon or Viacom CBS to touch it? No. Nothing like that at all. It's actually because of the notion that a major company like Viacom CBS would reboot an old show like Ren and Stimpy, despite the fact that in the industry, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of original pitches that don't end up getting picked up. that there are so many different ideas, so many original ideas that people would have, and on a daily basis, big studios like Nickelodeon and Comedy Central and whatever would go and try to pitch their ideas only to end up getting fully rejected, and yet they would see a move like what Viacom CBS is doing and bringing back a show like Ren and Stimpy. And in this case right over here, it's not just because of that factor. It's not just because of the injustice of it all, but it's also because of the factor of Ren and Stimpy itself. It's especially regarding the fact that the show is now considered to be highly controversial. Not mainly because of the series itself. I mean, like, yeah, the show had its controversies, but those little troubled moments pale in comparison to the creator of the series, the one that is said to be the man behind Ren and Stimpy, John Kricfalusi, or as you may know as John K. Now, if you are watching or listening to this, I think there's no explanation onto what are some of the troubles of John K. What are some of the controversies, and why is it that his name is looked down upon in contrast to like 10 years ago when he was revered as one of the most influential artists in animation. We've all known about the troubles that he has done, whether it be the poor treatment that he would give to his artists, like running Ren and Stimpy almost in a tyrannical way, and also, not to mention, his infamous child grooming tactics. Now, of course, a lot of media outlets like Deadline and other websites, they would go and say that those are all allegations for now. But let's be honest here. We all know that he did it, and there is way too much evidence that prove that he actually has done it, and that he has a history of being attracted to girls who are underage. So, it's not, honestly, I feel like there's no point of saying that they're all allegations, because, like, there's too much evidence that prove that, yeah, he did do these things, and that he has that mindset, even, like, debatably even as of today, actually, where he is a little bit messed up and he still needs a good amount of therapy and possibly medication. So the thing is, and I understand that there are a lot of people out there that could argue, oh, well, maybe there is that factor of separating the art from the artist. And I do understand that argument. It is true that you could try to go and separate the art from the artist, where you can still adore Ren and Stimpy, but you can resent John K. That's perfectly fine that you could still do that. Like, I'm not going to judge you if you're still a major Ren and Stimpy fan, if you consider that one of your favorite animated series ever. But the problem with this, the problem with the Ren and Stimpy reboot goes back into the factor of all the original pitches that are being rejected. Because, like, really think about this. That Viacom CBS is sending out a highly negative message to artists and animators who aspire working for one of their companies or one of their channels, rather it be Comedy Central or Nickelodeon or MTV or anything like that. What Viacom is saying, that by rejecting many original pitches, but picking up something like Ren and Stimpy, that they are willing to go and pick up a show or like bring back an old show that is made by a notorious child groomer instead of picking up an original series. And not to mention, there is the diversity aspect that also makes this situation even worse. That really, in this case, by picking up the Ren and Stimpy reboot, they're pretty much saying that as long as you're a straight white male, you can pretty much get away with it, and you'll still get better treatment than many of the others. That if you are a woman, if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or if you're a person of color, then you have less of a chance to get your original pitch get picked up at a place like Viacom CBS than someone who is a straight white male and is actually does have a very controversial history, like child grooming, for example. So on that factor alone, it's not only the originality, but also like a serious blow to diversity. And that, I believe that's the factor that really made a lot of people massively upset. It's the factor that we got, like, this animated series made by what is considered to this day one of the most hated possibly the most hated show creator in animation. We got that kind of show, and that ends up getting picked up at Viacom CBS rather than some other original idea made by someone who is either a woman, a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or a person of color, or anything like that. It really is a factor of originality and diversity that it is a serious hit in this case. And not to mention, there's also another factor that it makes this reboot look bad. It's not only that it makes Viacom CBS look bad, but it also makes their plan for adult animation look bad, because now you look at what the big plan is that Viacom CBS wants to do with adult animation, and it's pretty much a wake-up call that makes you realize, wow, they got nothing original planned. They got nothing new planned, because basically their idea is just bringing back old crap. That's all they're doing so far. I mean, yeah, sure, a lot of them are highly praised. A lot of them really do like the idea that some of them are getting rebooted, but they really have nothing in terms of anything that would be considered new, that would be considered original, something that would be considered like a brand new IP. Now, this is not to say that Viacom CBS has nothing new in store for us on any of their channels. I know for a fact that there are some channels like Nickelodeon that have some new original content that's going to be coming up in the future. But in this case over here, in terms of their adult animation lineup, like, what do they have for us? It really is just a bunch of old crap. Like, right now, we got Beavis and Butthead, a show that was from the 90s. We got Clone High, a series from the early 2000s. We got Jody, which is a spin-off of a show that already exists, which technically, it's a spin-off of a spin-off, by the way, since Daria is technically a spin-off of Beavis and Butthead. And then finally, we now have this. We have Ren and Stimpy. They really got nothing. Like, do you really have nothing new in store for us? Like, is there no new original animation content that you want to deliver, that you want to do for your big plan to really expand on your adult animation lineup so that you would have more than South Park? I mean, honestly, just by looking at this, it's kind of pitiful in a way. And if there is also one more argument that I would like to make regarding how this Ren and Stimpy reboot is a bad idea, is that, let's say, okay, now let's look past the fact that it is a cartoon reboot. Let's look past the fact that it's a controversial series made by a notorious show creator like John K. Let's look past the John K and the cartoon reboot aspect and look at the idea of bringing back Ren and Stimpy. For me, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is such a terrible idea, mainly because they're not just bringing back Ren and Stimpy, but they're bringing it back as part of their adult animation lineup. Have we learned nothing from adult party cartoons? Like, you probably know what I'm talking about with the adult party cartoons. Like, I remember in the past, it was like, I believe in the beginning of the 2000s, where a lot of people, especially Ren and Stimpy fans, were really hyped up with a new Ren and Stimpy cartoon, or new set of Ren and Stimpy cartoons, where they would go much more adult with their content, where John K would really let it out by adding in a lot of factors like drugs, violence, sex, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people were anticipating for it, but they end up resulting in some of the worst Ren and Stimpy cartoons. In fact, some of the most infamous Ren and Stimpy cartoons out there that really ended up pleasing no one, and it ended up pushing the envelope way too far, where even the most edgy Ren and Stimpy fan would feel uncomfortable watching it. So just on that aspect alone, bringing back Ren and Stimpy and considering it as adult animation is something that I personally feel a little bit concerning, because of like how history has shown us with how Ren and Stimpy could do when it's in the realm of adult animation. And that is honestly the part that I feel like is just history repeating itself, where they don't learn from their past and they're just going to do the same thing as adult party cartoon, where in a way, this isn't really a reboot of the Ren and Stimpy show. This is like a reboot of Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoons. And keep in mind, maybe I'm completely wrong on that, because it is true that they did state that they're going to bring it back with a brand new crew. And some could say that the main reason why the adult party cartoons were really that bad is mainly because of John K. That could be a factor, but still, it's just like, I don't really trust Ren and Stimpy going back in the realm of adult animation after going through adult party cartoon. So it's honestly because of all of these factors, because of the unoriginality of bringing back an old show like Ren and Stimpy when no one really asked for Ren and Stimpy to come back, the controversial elements of having a person like John, like having a show back that is made by a notorious child groomer like John K, where it really is a slap to the face in diversity. And also the factor of bringing back Ren and Stimpy as part of an adult animated series is very concerning because of Ren and Stimpy's poor past history with developing adult animations. Overall, it's honestly very hard for me to see any benefits from bringing back Ren and Stimpy. I just don't see what good can actually come out of bringing back a show like Ren and Stimpy, and it just makes it very concerning, and honestly, like, it really does sour the taste of Viacom CBS's overall plans of their adult animation lineup. Like, honestly, I'm not that excited, and like, I'm even seeing a lot of Ren and Stimpy fans resenting this kind of idea, so really, like, who are they making this for? Like, that really is the big question. Like, you're bringing back Ren and Stimpy, but really, who are you bringing it back for? Are you really bringing it back for the fans? Is it real, like, are you bringing it back for, like, a new generation to reintroduce Ren and Stimpy? No, it's just, honestly, I feel like Viacom CBS is just going a little bit too far with bringing back Ren and Stimpy. It's a show that nobody asked to come back. Like, honestly, can we not just appreciate the show that we did have in the past in the 90s and just go from there? Like, why do we need to bring it back? However, before I would cap this story off, there is one more thing that I would like to say, and that was something that, as I'm recording this, was actually just announced yesterday. You could say, funny enough, that it was a bit of a counterbalance. That after the massive backlash from the animation industry with this news of bringing back Ren and Stimpy, oddly enough, we kind of had an opposite reaction with an announcement of another series that has been announced and got picked up. And what I'm talking about is regarding Has-Been Hotel. And if you guys don't know what it is, Has-Been Hotel is a passion project made by Vivian Medrano, you may know as VivzyPop. And the pilot episode is up on her YouTube channel. You can check it out for free. The pilot episode is right there. And it has become a bit of a phenomenon, I would say. As I'm recording this, it has over 40 million views so far, the pilot. And even released just recently a little music video with one of the characters, Angel Dust. And that became a viral sensation. But as I was saying with the news, just yesterday, A24 has actually picked up Has-Been Hotel in order to work with VivzyPop in order to turn that into a full-on animated series that is going to air on television. And this was a moment that, like I said before, really did counterbalance the news of the Ren and Stimpy reboot, because everything here, this is exactly what people are demanding from this. It's a brand new original animated series that has been picked up, an original adult animated series that it doesn't share that similar style of like Family Guy or of like what was it, of Rick and Morty, because that's starting to become a thing that people are complaining about, that now, like, we're pretty much at the phase where even adult animation is starting to look a lot like each other. Not only that this is a brand new original adult animated series, but this is an original adult animated series that has a lot of inclusivity and a lot of diversity within the show, since there's a lot of prominently queer characters within the show. And on top of that, it's made by a woman, a Hispanic woman, I believe. You could correct me if I'm wrong about Vivian's race, but I believe Vivzy Pop is actually a Hispanic woman. So, like, there really is a lot of elements here that really do combine that pretty much represents what people are basically asking for. That we want to see more major studios like A24 to go and actually pick up an original adult animated series that features a lot of inclusivity, a lot of diversity, and a lot of representation for people in minority groups, and that is actually created by a woman. So it's pretty much a massive package, and plus the fact that this is coming from a series that just with the pilot alone already has gathered a massively prominent fan base, a huge fan base where it all, like, in a way, like, I wouldn't say, like, it has a cult following. Like, I would say that this is, like, Hasbro Hotel is a full-on phenomenon where I don't think I can even say that it is much of a surprise that A24 would go and pick this up. I think, honestly, there's just too many elements where it was at the point where it was about time. It was a long time coming that it would go and eventually get picked up by a major studio so that it could turn into a massive TV series. And honestly, with this bit of news, it is objectively better than what we got with the Ren and Stimpy reboot. Now, I know using the word objective is a little bit too extreme in many cases, but in this situation right over here, I would definitely make it an exception. Because, like, in a way, I guess, in meme terms, this pretty much, like, is The Virgin versus the Chad, where you got The Virgin, Viacom, CBS, where they would go and decide to pick up, not just pick up, but to reboot an old animated series instead of picking up something original that is made by a white man with a history of child grooming that basically with this one nobody asked for, and on top of that rebooting it as an adult animated series where this has a history of doing really badly with adult animated series. But then you got the Chad A24, and this Chad A24 here, they decided to pick up an original animated series that features a lot of inclusivity and a lot of diversity and a lot of gay characters, and is all created by a Hispanic woman. So that's why I think I got the license to say that this Hasbro Hotel news is objectively better than the Ren and Stimpy reboot. So that's pretty much my entire piece. And if there's one more thing that I would like to say, if there is a lesson that we should all take from both the news of the Ren and Stimpy reboot and Hasbro Hotel, is that no matter where you are, rather it be that you're an animator in the animation industry, or maybe you're just an animation fan who loves to express his opinions on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Tumblr, or even on YouTube and stuff like that, that it is always important to speak out and to let your voice be heard. It doesn't matter where you are, like I said, whether it be you're a professional animator or an animation fan, or even if your opinion is amongst the massive majority, or if you're just a part of the minority. It's always important to go and speak out your true feelings, to speak out about your passion, and express what you want for the sake of better entertainment for everyone. Because you never know who's actually gonna go and listen to you and deliver on exactly of what you would want, or to fix up the error of their ways so that they would go and deliver less of the things you don't want and more of the things you do want. Now, it is understandable that there will be times that sometimes how you will express your opinions and how you will express what you want, like, it will come in varying results, and sometimes you don't always hit your mark with them. There will be times where you will speak out your thoughts, and you will receive massive praise, and you'll have a lot of people behind your back, or sometimes you'll go and express your opinions, and you'll just sound like an entitled brat. And I know that there are some people that might think of a few examples of entitled brats, but let's be honest, everybody goes through it, and they will have their entitled brat moments. Like, it happens to me, and it does happen to you, who is either watching or listening to this. Come on. Like, if you don't think you would ever have those entitled brat moments, then you're acting like an entitled brat right now. But that's pretty much what I'm saying, is that you need to make sure your voice has to be heard. And that's exactly why Hazbin Hotel has been picked up. Because, I'm not saying that it is because of the backlash of the Ren and Stimpy reboot, but it shows that it definitely did help on this factor. It really did help on the factor of what people don't want, on what the grand majority of people do not want out of something like the Ren and Stimpy reboot, and more of what they would want with the Hazbin Hotel reboot. So this is just to say, don't be afraid to let your voice be heard. And especially when it comes to your passion, like animation. If you know you want something, and you want something that is more for the best for everyone, the kind of shows that you do want to see more of, and less of the shows that you don't want to see of, then make sure you let your voice be heard. Make sure you speak out to say that you want more original content, whether it be for kids or for adults. Make sure your voice is heard, that you want to see more diversity and more inclusivity within those shows, that you want to see more characters of the LGBTQ plus community, more people of color in terms of the characters, and characters of different religions as well, for example, more Jewish characters, more Muslim characters, more Buddhist characters, or whatever. Just make sure, and also, don't forget to express also more shows being picked up by people who are not necessarily people of color, excuse me, what the fridge was I saying there? That we want to see, make sure your voice is heard for more content created by people who are not necessarily white guys. I mean, I'm sure there'll definitely be a lot more shows made by white guys out there, but express your thoughts and express your feelings that you want to see more shows developed by people of color, by members of the LGBTQ plus community, by women, and many, many more. That their voices can be heard as much as white men can. So that's basically the big message from all this. And don't stop. Even if you already got something like Hazbin Hotel that's going to be coming on TV, keep asking for more of these so that we could have more stuff like Hazbin Hotel and less stuff like the Ren and Stimpy reboot. And that should be my whole piece on this. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think about this Ren and Stimpy reboot? Is this something that maybe you disagree with me and you would actually love to see more shenanigans from Ren and Stimpy? Are you against the idea? Let me know what you all think now. Okay. Now, let's see here. I'm not really that excited for this. This really just feels like a slap in the face towards people of diversity because of controversy of John Kay. While at least he isn't coming back, it still feels like they brought back to cash in on the success of the original. Also, reboots rarely work with the exception of DuckTales, and I especially do not trust this after adult party cartoons, so I'll pass. Yeah, I know, the sentiment is the exact same, dude. Let's see here. I have nothing against this upcoming reboot show itself. It could be good or bad. Good point. But my issue with this reboot is that not only that it's such bad timing, especially with the documentary coming out, but the Ren and Stimpy brand has its bad eggs like later seasons of the original series and most infamously adult party cartoon. Overall, Viacom CBS should reconsider their decision of bringing this back. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it is too late for them to reconsider, but yeah, we do agree that this is definitely a bad move on Viacom CBS. Let's see. As a Has-Been fan, in the words of Chester A. Bum, "Oh my god, this is the greatest news I've ever seen in my life!" Also, Viv is Latina. All I ask is two things. One, will Hell of a Boss get a TV show? And two, will the Has-Been show be released in Netflix or stay on YouTube? We do not have any confirmation of that, by the way. Like, as I'm saying, like I said before, as I am recording this, the news about Has-Been Hotel coming to TV is, like, fresh out of the oven. Like, all we know is that A24 will be collaborating with Vivzy Pop in order to bring Has-Been Hotel onto television. We don't know if this necessarily means that it'll be coming to something like Adult Swim, or if it's coming to Comedy Central, or if it's going to be on a streaming service like HBO Max, or if it's going to be on Netflix or something. We don't know. That's going to be another piece of news for another day. So all we know is that A24 will be bringing, like, we know that thanks to A24, Has-Been Hotel will be coming to television, so that is just going to be something that we will wait and see. Let's see, what else do we got here? As glad as I am that they're keeping a wide berth away from John K., to quote a Twitter thread on the matter, by allowing Ren and Stimpy to come back, Comedy Central is enabling John K. and his bootlickers and all of their toxic views, regardless of whether he is involved or not. So yeah, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole, and besides, an adult Ren and Stimpy, sure, that worked out just splendidly before. And that's exactly what I mean with the whole factor of John K. and why it feels like a slap to the face of diversity, where it feels like apparently being a woman or being a person of color or being a member of the LGBTQ plus community is a far bigger crime than child grooming if you're a straight white male. It really is that kind of a bad message that they're really sending it out. Now, I'm not saying that Viacom CBS is doing that on purpose, but it really is of bad taste that they would go and do so by rejecting all those other original pitches in favor of bringing back a series with a very controversial creator. Let's see, what else do we got here? Let's see. AniMat, did you know that the documentary has a controversy too? Something about the creators stealing a fan art and the creators themselves aren't Ren and Stimpy fans. There are some behind-the-scenes problem going on with that documentary. Oh my god, is Ren and Stimpy a curse? Like, is Ren and Stimpy that much of a curse where anyone who touches upon it will be cursed for life? Maybe with the exception of, like, Billy West and Bob Camp and some of the other voice actors? I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. Like I will say this. I am aware of some of the controversies, actually. I am aware that I did hear that apparently the documentary creators are not that much of a fan of Ren and Stimpy themselves. And then there's all, like, the fan art thing, I will admit, that is kind of new, but I don't know. We'll see as this documentary goes on, like, how big, like, and if this controversy might end up going bigger than it seems. Okay. Let's see now. Oh, here we go. I can only see two reasons for Comedy Central greenlighting Ren and Stimpy instead of any other original pitches: money and recognition. Ren and Stimpy is probably one of the most revolutionary cartoons of all times, as it was one of the first TV cartoons that was made to not sell any merchandising, and with how popular it is, it could give Comedy Central a lot of money. As for my thoughts on the reboot, I would like to wait for a bit more information before forming an opinion. Okay, that's fair enough, and I mean, you do bring up some very solid points onto why they are bringing it back, but still, man, like, they are doing the recognition, and yeah, like, money, well, that's a given, but, like, with the recognition aspect, I mean, they already got, like, a bunch that they already have, and that they are doing as well. Like, I mean, is Beavis and Butthead and Clone High and South Park not enough for them? Like, was Ren and Stimpy really that necessary to bring it back because to expand, like, the whole recognition of it all? I don't know. It's just, like, even on that, like, there are, that is logical explanations, but there's still a part of that I feel like it doesn't really make sense. Alright, so I'll go and read one more comment before we're gonna go and jump onto the next story. It says here, while I like the original Ren and Stimpy, I felt the same way as you've brought up, as they were a product of the time. Plus, there was that argument between Billy West and John Kay, which was why Stimpy was recasted in a doll party cartoon. West apparently refused, and I highly doubt he'll come back for this one. I get people are upset about the original pitch idea being rejected, but let's not forget reboots don't get green lights sometimes. Well, yeah, I mean, that is true. Not all reboots suddenly come to life and stuff like that. But then again, like, the reason why reboots would often get more backlash than some original ideas is mainly because we've been getting so many more reboots as time moves on, rather it be for movies or for television, that people are starting to get sick and tired of getting the same things again and again and again, and that's why we are seeing more and more of a demand for original content than just bringing back old crap like Ren and Stimpy. Like, again, the big question is in all this, who the fridge asked for Ren and Stimpy to come back? Honestly, if it's not the fans, then who else? Okay, so now that we got this piece of news out of the way, it is now time that we're going to go and look into a little trailer. And this is actually a funny story because this was actually a trailer that I just discovered last night as I am recording this. Like, I stumbled upon this and I saw it and I was like, ooh, this looks interesting. And I watched the trailer and wow, it really did struck a chord with me. It's like, wow, it was amazing to the point that I know I had to share it with you all. Like, technically, yes, it's not animation related. This is a bonus miscellaneous, and chances are you might have never heard about this, but still, I believe this is something that, in terms of the subject matter, I'm sure you guys would definitely be interested in seeing this. So with that said, let us take a look at the trailer for the upcoming documentary Robin's Wish.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Williams.
What's your brain doing when 10,000 people are laughing their heads off?
I'm not a tuna.
The human brain is, an extraordinary 3.5-pound gland.
Go get him, you little crazy guy. Good night, Alice.
The moment you think you understand it, it comes out with something else.
The breaking news, actor Robin Williams is dead at the age of 63.
They believe that the Bay Area resident committed suicide.
There was a lot of media speculation.
On Robin Williams' mind before his death, money.
He's broke or he's depressed or he's just given up.
The last movie, it was clear to all of us on that set that something was going on with Robin.
There was something eroding within him.
I was called in to go over the coroner's report. It was the beginning of understanding what had really gone on. My husband had unknowingly been battling a deadly disease.
Lewy body dementia is a devastating illness, increases anxiety, self-doubt, causes delusions that have never been present in someone.
Nearly every region of his brain was under attack. He experienced himself disintegrating.
I remember him saying to me, I don't know what's going on, I'm not me anymore.
It really amazed me that Robin could walk or move at all.
People who are incredibly brilliant can tolerate degenerative diseases better. Robin Williams was a genius.
He was always able to power through it, and he'd become this guy that you knew, remembered, and loved.
The way that he was able to battle the inner turmoils, he was a freaking warrior.
It no longer feels loyal to be silent about it, but maybe more loyal to share.
He was blessed with what his heart was capable of. In the midst of fear, he wanted to help people be less afraid.
Self goes away, ego, bye-bye. The thing that matters are others. That's what life is about.
And that was Robin's Wish. And for those of you who don't know, Robin's Wish is a documentary brought to us by Vertical Entertainment, in which it will take a look at the final days of Robin Williams, and looking into the legacy of Robin Williams as well. And unfortunately, this will be a more tragic piece, more so than it is something that would reflect on the comedy of Robin Williams. But basically, it's going to dive deep into why is it that Robin Williams passed away, that he decided to take his own life, and really go deep into the disease that Robin Williams unknowingly had that ultimately caused him to take his life. So it really is mainly to go in depth into a lot of these aspects, and looking at, like, I think it's safe to say that now you guys do understand why I had to present this to you, why I had to go and share this trailer, because honestly, I love this idea. Like, this really is the kind that the more I do think about it, the more I feel like this documentary could possibly turn out to be absolutely brilliant. Because it's not just a because on the surface, yeah, a lot of people would just describe this as a documentary about Robin Williams, and that alone can be very appealing, and that can be something that a lot of people would definitely be down to go and check out, especially with the way that they really did presented a lot of elements in Robin Williams' life, rather it be watching him voice the genie in Aladdin, or play as Theodore Roosevelt in the Night at the Museum movies and stuff like that. They will go and highlight a lot of the moments that made us love Robin Williams in the first place. But at the same time, at the core of it all, it looks into the part that really did broke everyone's heart the most, and that is his unfortunate passing. And in a way, it really does go into a question that not many people would want to go into, but it is very important that we have to look into that question, and that is the why. Why did he pass away? And we need to learn, and it is a good idea to really look into the disease that Robin Williams ended up having, or that we didn't know that he had, so that we can educate ourselves in knowing what it is, so that we could go and know better on how to face this kind of situation, so that no other person can end up taking their lives in the same way as Robin Williams. Like, it will go deep into it, into like the hard-hitting questions, and go into those tough subject matters, that it would require a little bit more than just seeking help or like call a hotline. That, of course, you would need to take several steps, more so than just a few steps, and then suddenly your suicidal mind would go bye-bye and stuff like that. So honestly, just looking at this, and especially the fact that, like, at the end of the trailer, they did also reflect upon the legacy of Robin Williams, who he is as an individual when he's not, when he doesn't have that disease taking over him, or like when he doesn't have like the alcohol or the drugs that would be in his system, the kind of individual that he is, the man who loves to make people laugh, the man who loves to entertain those, and also has a very kind heart at the same time. That is essentially who Robin Williams personally is. And honestly, maybe it is just the trailer that did a really good job about it, and it's presenting more than it actually would in the actual documentary itself. But I will say, regardless, this is still a beautifully crafted trailer and does present a beautiful subject matter. And I think overall, that's the best way to go and describe all this, to describe Robin's Wish, is that so far, it seems very beautiful. It has a beautiful concept. It talks about a beloved actor and a beloved comedian, and it goes into a hard-hitting subject so that we can be more educated about it, so that we can prevent more stuff like that to go and happen. And I will say, for me personally, that this is going to be a documentary that, yeah, I would definitely love to go and check out, because as you guys probably know, I adore Robin Williams. In fact, his death is probably the one that really hit me the hardest. Among all the celebrities that did pass away, none of them have given me more personal, massive grievance than Robin Williams, because I really adore the guy. I love his comedic bits, and of course, like, I love a lot of his acting as well. Like, he can be a great serious actor, but especially as a great comedic actor. And I mean, like, as animation fans and as Disney fans, who doesn't love the genie from Aladdin? Especially, like, for many of us, for many 90s kids, and like for many generations afterwards, like, that is the essential role that introduced everyone to Robin Williams. Like, if you were a little kid that didn't know about stuff like Mork and Mindy or anything like that, then you definitely know him as the genie from Aladdin, or maybe as Peter Pan in Hook, or something like that. Or maybe even if it's one of the roles that he developed even further. Like, maybe you love him because he was the penguin from Happy Feet. Like, maybe it could be that, or like one of the many penguins, because like it is Happy Feet after all. There are many freaking penguins in there. And I would even say, like, for someone like myself, that I guess you could say that in terms of my comedy, like how I would go and perform on YouTube or even right here in my podcast, like, I do have a lot of influence from Robin Williams' style of comedy. It really, like, he really is the kind of individual that, as an entertainer and as a comedian, Robin Williams is definitely someone that you would want to look up to and you want to aspire to be. So overall, yeah, I am definitely excited for this documentary, and it is, it's such a beautiful idea, and I really do hope that the documentary itself is as powerful as what the trailer is showing us. Now, in terms of a release date, from what I have heard, I think they have confirmed that it will be on September 1st. I don't know if it means that it will be released in like limited theaters, or if it's going to be coming in streaming services, but I know it's going to be on September 1st. But I can guarantee you that I am absolutely looking forward to Robin's Wish. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you think of this documentary? What do you think about Robin's Wish? Is it something that you guys would be interested in? Are you guys a little bit iffy on this documentary? Let me know what you think on this one. Let me know your thoughts. Let's see. A documentary about the legendary Robin Williams, which talks about what he went through and the illness he had before his death. Eyes, prepare to open the floodgates. Yes, that is true. Oh, that is absolutely true, man. Like I said before, this is going to be something that will make you cry more so than it would make you laugh. And you know what? I just have to say this. As a Disney fan, I find this to be very coincidental that Vertical Entertainment would release this trailer for this documentary, considering that on Disney Plus, we do have Howard officially released. And if you don't know, that is the documentary made by Don Hahn that talks about the life of Howard Ashman. I have yet to see it, but I'm definitely planning to do so soon. And from what I've heard, there are a lot of great things that I've heard about the documentary, and it's most likely something that you should go and check out. And that is also another one that, it's the same thing, that it reflects on the life of a renowned entertainer and talked a bit about, like, the disease that he had, and yeah, it's going to bring out the waterworks. So, of course, I just find it a bit coincidental that, like, we just got Howard, and now we're also going to get Robin's Wish. Let's see now. What else do we have? Robin Williams is one of the greatest figures we ever had. He is definitely part of my childhood, and I was in tears when he took his life away back in 2014. His later legacy in the early 2010s really remind me of BoJack Horseman. Depression and mental illness are destroying lives and hurting so many others as well. It's heartbreaking on what happened to Robin Williams. I do wish someone did save him from his suicide. He was legendary. My favorite Robin Williams works is definitely the genie from Aladdin. Absolutely, man, and I think it's safe to say that everyone would wish for Robin Williams to come back and didn't take his life. You know, we wish that we would live in that alternate dimension, but, you know, you do bring up a very strong point, and hopefully this documentary will reflect upon the words that you have said. Let's see. I think the world deserves to be made aware of the dark side of Williams' history. Not only so that we can all be more appreciative of his ability to make people smile, but also that we bear this in mind when it comes to beloved figures still living who might be going through something similar. That way, they might have a chance to be saved. Either way, this very much looks like it would be worth a watch and will remind us why we love the guy so much. Absolutely, dude. Beautiful words there. Damn, we really have a lot of documentary these days, haven't we? But really, I miss Robin Williams like hell. This'll probably be a must watch. Besides, I need to be cleansed after Eric Trump manipulated footage of Williams as an excuse to attack Biden. I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, folks, it is a Trump after all. I mean, I guess America now has their Hitler, so I mean, if one Trump is really bad, then expect others to be also equally as bad. But I mean, there are a few good Trumps out there. We got Mary Trump. That's also like the niece of Donald Trump that released that book that pretty much revealed the behind the scenes of what's going on with the Trump family. So yeah, there are a few good Trumps, but generally, when there are some bad Trumps, they are some of the worst things to ever happen to the country. Let's see. I'll go and read one more comment before we jump into the next story here. Let's see. What else do we got? Okay, I'll go with this one. I wonder how many actors and crew members of several movies and shows who worked with Robin are going to express what it's like to work with him during those movies. My biggest wish is to have many people from Aladdin to talk about Robin, including Scott Wegner, Gilbert Gottfried, Eric Goldberg, etc. One of the films I don't think they will ever mention is his cameo in the SpongeBob TV movie Truth or Square. Let's just say that the cameo he made was quite depressing. Rest in peace, Robin. Yeah, definitely. So, like I said before, folks, it's going to be on September. I believe it's going to be on September 1st that they will be releasing this documentary, but I will certainly keep my eyes out for this one. Okay, so for the next one that we got here, we have another trailer that we're going to look into, but this is going to be less of a surprise. We're getting back into animation, and this one will be a little bit more comedic. How comedic this is, or how funny this is, well, to be honest, this is going to be all up to you. It is going to make a very interesting conversation piece, per se. So, with that said and done, let us go ahead and check out another trailer, this time being the upcoming Netflix series, Hoops. Oh, and by the way, before I go and start this trailer, I just want to say that just be advised that there will contain a lot of swearing on this one, including a lot of F-bombs. So just be advised as you are watching this that if you are a little too sensitive to swearing, then maybe mute this part or maybe skip this part. So viewers' discretion is advised. That's the right word for it. All right, so let's go and check it out.
Gentlemen, you know what they call us? They call us soft. They call us losers. They call us bitch boys.
Who calls us bitch boys?
I've said it. Me and all of your parents.
Ben. You've only lasted this long because your father is Barry Hopkins.
I may call you a disappointment, but it's your choice to feel that way.
You're still my wife, and you're dating my best friend.
You can't be texting my girlfriend. You up every night.
I knew she was up.
You can't be an asshole and a losing coach.
That's a charge. Ah, you inbred pile of donkey shit, you four-eyed fuck. Come on. Language, Opal. This is a school, for fuck's sake. If I lose, I'm fired. But if I start winning, I'm coaching the Chicago Bulls, and I got an infinity pool. Everybody would be sucking so many of my dicks.
You gotta tighten it up, dog. I'm just a 16-year-old kid.
My problem is I care too much. What's our #1 rule?
Don't chub it up in the shower.
I love this game, and I love this team right here. Go!
That's
right, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking tear this shit apart, motherfucker.
Yes, 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 yes! Holy fuck! It's boiling hot!
We couldn't find the Gatorade. We panicked and grabbed the hot tea.
Why the fuck do we have hot tea in the fucking gym, you dopes? Holy shit, that is burning my ass! It's like a river of lava!
Do we have any more? Nope. Okay, so that is the trailer of Hoops. And by the way, if you want to know about some of the people that are behind this series, the big significance about this show is regarding the people that are making this. This is actually a series that is created by Ben Hoffman, and it stars Jake Johnson, who is playing Ben Hopkins. And on top of that, Jake is also an executive producer, along with Ben Hoffman, Seth Cohen, M. Dixon, Itay Reyes, and of course, probably the biggest names that are attached to this that's getting a lot of attention, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And I gotta say, with what we got so far, is that it? Is this really what you're giving us with this trailer? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that impressed with this. This doesn't look like a series that I would be interested in. And on top of that, like, number one, I'm just going to say this right now, that, one issue that I do have is that I really am starting to see, like, some of the complaints that people have regarding, adult animation with how they're starting to look a bit of the same. And it really is the case with Hoops, where you do see that similar style as to many other shows out there. Like, you look at the art style that they got, and it really does feel like it is something where they're just taking several elements from shows like the Seth MacFarlane series, like Family Guy, and you got some Rick and Morty in there as well. And they're just kind of like blending it together into something that just looks a bit similar. But then again, I would consider that as like a minor complaint. Like, yeah, the art style is one thing, but that shouldn't necessarily reflect upon the show itself. And I will give this credit. I will say that I see where they want, I see like the concept of it. I get what they're trying to do with this, and I do see the potential with the idea of the series, where you got this angry, foul-mouthed coach that's a bit of a loser, who only gets up, who can only climb up in the ranks because of his connection with his superstar father, and he has to do his best to work with the team that he has, which some people could say is like a gang of losers, which some people could say it's kind of like, it's the typical underdog, the typical underdog sports story. But then again, it could work out. There are ways that you can actually still take this formula as far too repeated as much as it is right now and actually make that work. Like, I get that, and I could see the potential that in the right hands, this could actually be a pretty funny series. This could actually work out in its favor. But honestly, it's the execution that really does mess things up. It really does make it seem just boring and mostly unpleasant. And I think really, at least for me, the biggest problem that I do have with this series is regarding the humor. Because really, what is the humor in all this? And honestly, I can't really find, like, what is much of, like, what is the big punchline of it all? What is the big what's the point of the jokes that they are bringing up in this trailer? And I can't help but feel like the most that I could think up is that the scenarios that they're presenting, it's funny because the characters are swearing. It's one of those kinds of shows that think that swearing a lot somehow is funny. And especially, like, you got this foul-mouthed main character that's swearing to a bunch of, like, minor teenagers, and apparently that is supposed to be funny and stuff like that. Like, apparently, excuse me, like, right at the end with the whole hot tea bit, like, it really does reflect upon many of the humor that we got so far like this. Whoops, wait a minute. Sorry about that. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I kind of muted the video. Okay, let's redo that.
Holy fuck! It's boiling hot! We couldn't find the Gatorade. We panicked and grabbed the hot tea.
Why the fuck do we have hot tea in the fucking gym, you dopes? Holy shit, that is burning my ass. It's like a river of lava.
So what is the joke in all that? Is the joke really just that it's funny because the main character says fuck a lot? Is that the gag? Is that the punchline? Like, I don't get it. And this is not to say that swearing is not funny in general. There are ways that you could take swearing and actually make it, in a way, like an art in itself. You can actually make swearing funny. Case in point, look at James Rolfe with the Angry Video Game Nerd. He pretty much made a legacy for himself with his artistic talent of making swearing funny. This one, however, is just throwing F-bombs and saying other swears like damn it, shit, and whatever, just for the sake of making it sound funny. And especially with the art style that I've mentioned, with that bland art style that looks very Family Guy, or like it looks like Family Guy, or it looks like Rick and Morty, or it looks a bit like Bob's Burgers or something like that. It looks like a combination of those shows. Like, the animation is kind of like a salt to an open wound, where it looks like it's taking elements from other shows in order to create its own quote-unquote art style. So in a way, it's more the animation that feels a bit unoriginal, but it's not badly made. I'm not going to say it looks like a cheap-looking series, and I mean, I'm sure the animators who have worked on this, they have done the most that they could on this, but really, I don't blame them, but it's just that looking at this show, it just looks like it's just trying to be, it's trying to be like everyone else. It's trying to blend in with all the other adult animation shows so that it kind of looks like Rick and Morty, or it kind of looks like Family Guy, to make it seem like, oh, this is a show that's kind of like Family Guy, or kind of like Rick and Morty. So it doesn't really help at all. But really, this is supposed to be an adult animated series where the big hook of it all is supposed to be the humor. And really, the humor just doesn't land. And honestly, it really does suck. And I think the worst thing of it all is the fact that this is a missed opportunity. I could definitely see the potential with all of the ideas that they are bringing up. And I'm sure that in the right hands, it would have worked very well. They would have found a way to actually make it funny and to actually make it engaging, where you do find yourself supporting a loser coach like Ben Hopkins. But in this case, at least in this trailer, I can't. I just look at this and like I can't help but feel sorry for this, where it really has little to no materials, or at least what they are showing us in the series, where it is the kind of series that thinks that swearing a lot somehow means that it's funny, or like swearing in front of children is considered hilarious, that they're really going for that low-hanging fruit that isn't even considered funny in the first place. So honestly, I just have my doubts with this show. I don't know if I would be, like, I'm definitely not going to be watching this one. It doesn't seem that interesting. It looks unoriginal, and like, even like, and with its execution, it kind of makes the concept look bad as well, because like I said, like, technically, this is just another underdog sports story. So really, this is the kind of series that I feel like it delivers little to actually offer. There's little originality. There's nothing new that it gives us to make us really go and watch hoops. So I don't know, at least for me, this trailer, it just feels like a dud. Maybe the show itself could turn out to be really good, but there's nothing here in this trailer that's really impressing me much. And if you are actually curious to go and check out Hoops, then just keep note that it is going to be coming out on Netflix on August 21st. So with that said, I would like to ask you all, what do you think about the trailer of Hoops? What are your thoughts on this series? Are you more into it? Do you disagree with me and think that maybe this show could turn out to be hilarious and great? Are you more put off by this series? Let me know your thoughts on Hoops. Okay. Let's see now. This is off topic, but I think it's important. But part of the reason why Hazbin Hotel is such a hit with critics and fans is because stylistically it is a breath of fresh air. The character designs are legitimately attractive, and the animation complements the designs. Hoops and Hazbin Hotel have a lot of swearing, but there's more to Hazbin Hotel than just swearing, and there's a purpose to it as well. Hoops' character designs looks dull, and adults want pretty designs than kids shows often have. Okay, I gotcha. No, you actually do bring up a very good point that does relate to what we have over here. And yeah, technically with something like Hazbin Hotel, there is a lot of swearing. There is often a lot of F-bombs that are featured in there, but it is something that is a lot more different. I mean, Vivzy Pop has a very distinct style that nowadays has become very influential and inspirational for many artists around the world. And by prominently presenting this art style, it really does help to make it stand out compared to the other adult animated series that are out there, like Family Guy or the other Seth MacFarlane works, or Bob's Burgers, or The Simpsons, or what was the other one that I mentioned? Rick and Morty, and many others. At least with Hazbin Hotel, you could tell that it is a passion project of Vivzy Pop, because she really went out of her way to really put in her voice and to really give the series a lot more substance than just swearing, because swearing itself is not necessarily much of a substance unless you know how to really spice it up, like James Rolfe. In this case over here, with Hoops, it feels like they're telling us that the swearing is the substance. And as a result of that, it gives us very little in terms of what to actually consume. It gives us very little of like what would be considered a very tasteful series, a series that would give us a lot of substance, a lot of reasons that it would be worth watching. I don't know. I feel like I feel like Hoops is the kind of series that is geared towards like edgy 12-year-olds, like the kind of kids that they want to feel like they're, or like edgy like 9 to 12-year-olds that feel like they want to be adult, that feel like they're mature enough to go and watch something that is considered adult-oriented. So they would watch something like Hoops because there's a lot of swearing in it, or there's like some violence in it, or there's like reference of sex into it. Like they would go into taboo subjects that 9 to 12-year-olds shouldn't immediately know and stuff like that. So that really is the distinct difference between Hazbin Hotel and something like Hoops. Let's see, what else do we got here? Another adult comedy cartoon without any real heart that looks like any other adult comedy cartoon who thinks swearing to children is enough to be funny. I only have word for this. Skip! Also, if you want another example of swearing is funny, I would pick the episode Sailor Mouth from SpongeBob. That is also a great example as well. Like, even though you don't actually hear the swearing, that is another great way of actually making substance out of swearing and actually have something to say about it. You know, to actually have some kind of commentary regarding swearing, or like in the case of Hazbin Hotel, that it helps further develop the characters. But in the case of Hoops, the only it really does feel like in this trailer that the only reason why the characters are swearing is because that's what the series thinks is funny. Like they think, because like, oh, the guy says fuck a lot, oh, that makes it funny. No, it's not, dude. It doesn't have a point. You know, like, just you could say the F word, but is there a reason for you to say the F word other than you think it's funny? That's the real problem of it all. Let's see. What else do we have here in terms of comments? This is something I would see on Fox or Comedy Central that would get canceled after season 1. But this is Netflix. They are known for having amazing adult animated shows and films. I just think Hoops... Hold on a sec. Okay, no. Okay, I thought I was gonna sneeze, but no, it looks like it ain't happening. Anyways, back to what I was talking about. Back to this comment. I just think Hoops could get better if it is given another season. BoJack Horseman was like this when it debuted back in 2014. Overall on Hoops, I'll see if this is the reception. I'll see if the reception is good or so bad it's good. I don't know. Like, I can't even see this being so bad it's good, because it's not necessarily giving us anything that is uniquely bad. Because the thing is, and probably that's one of the worst crimes that so far this trailer is giving us, the things that they are showing us that is bad, like the worst things about it, it's just that it's dull, it's boring. And I think that's really like the biggest crime this series has committed, or at least the trailer has committed, is that it's just boring. I'm not really laughing at it, I'm not really all that enthralled by the visuals, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's terrible. It's nothing like cringeworthy, nothing for me to like take off my glasses because I can't stand looking at the awful animation. Nothing really like that. It's just, it's dull. That's the biggest problem of it. It's like, there's nothing memorable about it, not even anything that's like memorably bad about this. So I don't know if, like, I would be amazed if Hoops ends up getting another season. Unless if it turns out to be, like, really good. So, we'll see. Let's see. Here we have now. I don't know. I guess it looks okay. The animation's a little bit samey, as the comedy is mostly consisting of, "Ha! They said the F word!" But on the other hand, the Lord and Miller contribution are definitely prominent, and Jake Johnson's character seems endearing enough. I might check this out. Also in regards to trailers, I was expecting you to get into the return of Blue Penguin and the high-ass Dorito with eyeballs. Wait, what now? The return of the Blue Penguin and the high-ass Dorito with Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. I know. Like, I understand that there are a lot of people asking me about, like, the whole Phineas and Ferb trailer and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I get it that, like, we have gotten the trailers of, like, I believe it's Candace Against the Universe and stuff like that. But keep in mind, I'm not honestly that familiar with Phineas and Ferb, so I don't know if I can really be in a position to actually talk about my thoughts about about the movie, since like I'm not really familiar with the show, so that's why I didn't really talk about this. So sorry about that, guys, but it's just like I didn't talk about it because I'm not really familiar with the series, so I just want to highlight that. Okay, so what else do we got here? I recently watched Green Eggs and Ham Netflix series. I know it's not an adult series, but the humor is so much more better, and I'm excited for season 2 coming soon, whether that is. This, I just see another Family Guy or Rick and Morty knockoffs, not that impressive to me. And yeah, just going back into the comment, I'm going back to the previous comment mentioning about like some of the potential that they have. And I mean, yeah, it is true that there are some factors that seem like there are some effort put into this, including like the actors. Like they do sound like they are making the most of what they were given, including Jake Johnson as well. Like if there is one thing that I would say is the best thing about this trailer, is probably Jake Johnson's performance. But yeah, like I know like a lot of people really are hooked whenever they see the name of Phil Lord and Chris Miller. But then again, even at that, like if this is a Phil Lord and Chris Miller produced series and this is the best they got, I don't know, guys. It's just, yeah, like you can only take that Lord and Miller name and go so far with it, because really, if this is all that Lord and Miller can give us in terms of their producing talents, at least to this series, then yeah, maybe it's not all that worth it. Let's see, what else do we got here? What other comments? Not interested. The humor seems pretty stale, with overabundance of swearing and some missed potentials. I would just stick with other TV shows and movies until further notice. All right, fair enough, dude. I'll go and read one more comment before we're gonna jump into the next story, by the way. Okay, fine. Let's go here. As bad as that show was, Legends of Chamberlain Heights, which is another adult cartoon with a basketball theme, stands out better than this. Sure, it's a lot more limited animation than Hoops, but at least its art style is a lot more unique. Personally, I don't find foul language funny, despite me liking some shows with swears like South Park. There is an art for using the F-bomb. Take BoJack Horseman, for instance. It only uses it once per season, and usually in the most serious of moments in the show. Well, at least there is that. So, once again, if you guys are curious in checking this series out, then it's going to be coming out on Netflix on August 21st, and if you are going to see it, then good luck to you. Okay, so moving forward to the next story, what I have for you is actually a pretty interesting story. Something that somehow sparked outrage and is a little bit unexpected. This is going to be something that actually could categorize in both the cartoon and the crazy. But it is funny to mention that I guess it looks like Trolls World Tour cannot get itself out of trouble. Rather it be with the movie itself and where it's released, or even with toys. Yes, folks, Hasbro has officially decided that they are pulling out one of the Trolls World Tour toys because of way too many complaints from concerned parents. In fact, there was an online petition to take this toy away from store shelves that ended up getting more than 160,000 people who actually signed this. Now, for those of you who don't know, the toy in question is called Trolls World Tour Giggle and Sing Poppy. Now, this is meant to be your typical talking doll, you know, but it is themed to Poppy from Trolls World Tour. Okay, it doesn't seem like anything that's wrong from there. So what really is the controversy? What is the problem? Well, there is a video that can actually show you this, and I actually found this on Twitter from Senator Sam Parker, in which there is a concerned mother that talks a bit about the toy. Now, the video itself is a little bit long. It's about 2 minutes. I decided to go and skip ahead a little bit to get to the point of what is wrong with this toy in particular. So let's just check this out.
Showing her to my husband, and I heard some other sounds that I had never heard before. And if you look down here, I figured a video was the best way. So I just touched her tummy and she's going to sing for a minute. But
okay, so that's one thing. Like, if you touch her tummy, she would go and she would do the singing. But what about the giggling? Here's the catch.
Down here is a button right here on her privates. And if you push those, she makes these sounds. Like a gasping sound. And I know some of you may not think this is a big deal.
So that's basically the big thing of all this, and that's the major controversial aspect about the toy, or the major flaw of it, is that somehow between Poppy's legs there is a button that you could press and she would go and giggle. Of course, the reason why people are freaking out about this toy in particular is mainly because they are fearing that this toy is promoting child grooming, or that it is promoting, I would dare say, pedophilia. The petition itself that ended up getting more than 160,000 signatures actually came from another concerned parent by the name of Jessica McMains, in which she addressed it to stores like Target, Walmart, Amazon, and many others. And she would go and make a massive comment by stating, "Our society is conditioning our children to think pedophilia is okay. This is not okay for a child's toy. This toy needs to be removed from our stores. What will this toy make our innocent, impressionable children think? That it's fun when someone touches your private area? That pedophilia and child molestation are okay?" Now, we did actually get a response from Hasbro themselves, and they have accepted to go and remove the toy from store shelves. This is actually going to be coming from a spokeswoman at Hasbro, Julie Duffy, in which she states, "This feature was designed to react when the doll was seated, but when recognizing the placement of the sensor may be perceived as inappropriate. This was not..." Whoops, sorry about that, folks. Alright, anyways. "This was not intentional, and we are happy to provide consumers with a replacement Poppy doll of similar value through our consumer care team. We are in the process of removing the item from purchase." So that's basically the big thing, is that apparently one badly designed Poppy doll had to be removed because of a really badly placed button. Now, first and foremost, I need to go and say that this really is a massive exaggeration. Like, you can definitely tell that this is coming from people who would immediately just go and assume the worst. You can't go from just Trolls World Tour, Trolls World Tour toy to suddenly go up to child molestation. Like, you can't just go and make that immediate jump. That's like a bit of a paranoia mentality. But then again, like, yeah, you could say that this is just people that are just a little too freaked out on our society, that are just jumping the gun. But then again, I would go and argue that this is coming from the mentality of a parent. And sometimes when it comes to parents, and I'm sure you guys can understand this as well with your parents, that sometimes they would always assume the worst, and they would often go and overreact at times, where they would immediately assume the worst for their baby. They want to make sure that they want to protect them as much as they can. Their parental instincts would kick in and try to save them from harm's way. So that's why they would go and immediately freak out over something like this. Because I can guarantee you right now, I know for a fact that Hasbro did not intentionally go and do this. It's not like they were in a meeting or they were, it's not like this toy was designed by like frickin' John Kay or anything like that. This was a toy that, they wanted to try to make like a special talking doll where she would go and talk, rather it be by touching her tummy or by making her sit. Like, that's pretty much the idea. That was the point of it. But it's just that this is something that maybe they did not necessarily think all that way through. So I'm not going to be scolding Hasbro on this. I'm not going to be doing like the senator where he's trying to say, like, the senator, like, even this senator is really exaggerating on the situation. Like, with the tweet that he's saying is like, is Hasbro normalizing grooming and facilitating child abuse? Like, no, they're not, you delusional nitwit. Like, that really, like, come on, that is just way too much of an over-exaggeration, and yeah, this is also a bit of an over-exaggeration from parents as well. Granted, a lot of it is because of, like, their paternal instincts, and that is definitely fine, but still a bit of an exaggeration. I mean, you gotta step back and find that it is a bit ridiculous, where again, someone would go from Trolls toy to child molestation in just one leap, and that's it. Like, there's nothing in between of all this. But then again, I will say that I don't necessarily blame the parents either, because when you do look at the toy, like, a lot of it is messed up. Like, come on, how did Hasbro not see that? Like, how is it that, like, through the numerous of testings, they didn't think this way through? Because technically it is true. They do have a point that technically it is a toy where you open up the doll's legs, you press a button that's between them, and she would giggle. That's a bit messed up there. Like, come on, come on, like, how is it that you could not see that issue? How is it that it went through your head and thought that this is okay? Like, yeah, I get it. You're probably a little too focused on the function of making her sit, and then she would actually make a sound. Like, she would giggle when she would go and sit. But still, man, it's just like the idea of having a button between her legs that the kid can discover and just, like, press press whatever, just randomly go and press it, not necessarily using it to go and sit. And yet somehow, like, they thought, okay, yeah, sure, it's fine. It really is a really stupid oversight. So that is one thing that I would blame Hasbro on doing. It's like, of course, I don't believe in what people are saying that, oh, they're trying to promote child abuse and stuff like that. That is not true at all. Like, in fact, I would even go as far and say that people who say that are flat out lying when they would make that statement. But honestly, it was honestly, it is a mistake from Hasbro, but it is a really stupid mistake. I do believe that, yes, Hasbro is definitely in the right to actually take away the toy and try to fix it up to make it better. But really, it's just like, I find it to be like a really stupid coincidence. It's a massive derp moment from Hasbro that they really should have thought of that. A little bit further than like, okay, we want to make Poppy sit. Okay, we want to make Poppy giggle when she would sit. What do we do? Okay, let's make a button between her legs so that when it's pressed, she would go and giggle. Like, you gotta think, like, you really gotta think more in terms of the functions of what, in terms of what you can do with it. You can't just give a character, like, why? That is also another major question. Why would you give your doll a button between the legs in the first place to make a sound? Like, why is there even a button between the legs in the first place? That should be something that should never happen. Like, okay, maybe I get it if you have, like, an extra have an extra accessory, like a magical chair, and that you would have, like, a magnet between her legs so that when she would sit, somehow the sound would activate. Maybe that could be something better. But honestly, no. Like, the button thing, no. If you're gonna make, like, here's an advice for toy makers out there. And I know I'm not a toy maker myself, or, like, I'm known for, like, talking about toys and stuff like that. But here's the thing. If you're gonna be designing a toy, don't put a button between the doll's legs. As simple as that. I think that should be self-explanatory on that thing. So, overall, I feel like with this piece of controversy, on one hand, it is definitely a bit of an exaggeration. There's no way that Hasbro made this in order to go and promote this nefarious agenda to go and say that child abuse and pedophilia is okay. There is no way that they were doing that, especially with a Trolls World Tour toy. There's no way that it could be possible. But then again, some of their complaints is definitely justified, where it is definitely a badly built toy, where there is a button that literally should not be there in the first place, and that Hasbro has done the right thing by responding that they are going to take it away, and that they will redesign it to make something a little bit better, you know? At least they're not completely taking it away. At least, like, you know, they'll give the doll another chance and just, you know, find a better way to make her giggle. Like, rather it be maybe her nose so that you could do a boop and she'll giggle, but not between her legs, okay? Like, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter if she could sit or not, okay? Like, yeah, it's a nice function. Maybe you can make her sit by moving her legs and stuff like that, but you don't have to make it a big deal that she is sitting and making a noise and that you got a button to make that activate, okay? Just don't do that. Okay, so with that said, let's go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, what do you all think about this little toy problem here? What are your thoughts on this Trolls World Tour Giggle and Sing Poppy? Do you think it's justifiable for Hasbro to take it out of the store shelves? Do you agree with the concerned parents? Do you think the concerned parents are way too over-exaggerating? Let me know what you think. Alright. I'm sorry, come again? Did I hear that correctly? This brings a whole new meaning to the phrase, trolls just want to have fun. This could go down as one of the greatest design flaws of all time, along with the long schlong Baymax balloon, Olaf spitting out his snow cone organs, and the unforgettable Simba humping Rafiki. Simba humping Rafiki? I don't remember the Simba humping Rafiki. Like, I do remember there is, like, a talking book thing, and there is one where it got some controversy because, like, you press a Rafiki button, and it's actually Rafiki that's singing, like, that's singing, like, da-da-da-da-da-da, and, like, some people misinterpret that as, squash bananas up his ass, squash bananas up his ass. Like, there is that toy, but I don't know if I've heard about the Simba humping, you know what, screw this. You know what? I want to know. It's like, okay, Simba. Well, let's see. Simba toy humping Rafiki. I need to look at this. Like, what it... Holy sweet merciful Neptune. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay, so it's like... Oh, so is it like a McDonald's toy or something? What is that? Oh, okay, some of you might not see it clearly, but... Here, we're gonna... Okay, we'll put up like a little YouTube video. You need to see this. What is this? Oh my god. Okay, so it's supposed... Oh no. Oh no! No! What is this? What the fridge? So that's what... Oh my... Oh no. Oh no, that's that. Oh no, why Disney? How have you not thought of that through? Oh god. Wow, that's quite a discovery. Well then, I was not expecting that. Yeah, okay. I think I get the point of the toy, but yeah, you could say that is kind of that might have been even worse than the Giggle and Sing Poppy. Oh my god. Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna sleep tonight. Okay. Anyways, let's jump on to the next comment. I can only imagine what the YouTube comments will say that, oh, they're just being overtly sensitive SJW snowflakes. I think that this toy is seriously an issue, and that I don't find it a bad idea to not have a toy make giggling when you touch her bottom. I feel like someone in the toy designer department of Hasbro should have taken a second look on where they've placed the button and connecting it. It doesn't help that bronies have had that history of child grooming and pedophilia, like the individual known as Toon Critic. Yeah, that's the thing, is that on one hand, yes, it is overly sensitive parents, but then again, Hasbro should have really had a second look at this toy before putting it out in shelves, or like whoever was supervising this toy did not really do that much of a good job, honestly. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, this situation was really oversaturated, but I am glad that Hasbro recalled it, and I hope that they really consider the design and function of their toys in order to avoid any bad implications of the future. Now, if you excuse me, I need to get me a possibility... Oh, I need to get me, and possibly some others, in the chat some brain bleach. Yeah, I know. Hey, I mean, like, this is the Crazy Cartoon Cast. It's stuff like this that you need to brace yourselves for. Expect the unexpected, folks. Okay, let's see now. So, Trolls World Tour. You guys like to be in the news a lot, huh? I just need to know what the hell happened between the make. Oh, what the hell happened with the making of this Poppy toy? What were they thinking? You're right, Matt. This toy is messed up so much. I agree that this is a massive error by Hasbro, but I am more of a Lego guy. Well, I mean, I guess you can't really go wrong with Legos because they are just a bunch of bricks. So at least they can be safe with that. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? This reminds me of something else controversial with Hasbro. During the Generation 1 era of Transformers, there was a Megatron toy where his alternate mode was a gun. In robot mode, the gun triggers is under the crotch. What is funny is that this was not the controversial part. Instead of the controversy is about the toy getting banned in several countries due to his gun mode looking realistic. This also reminds me of a fan-made Lyra heartstring plushie from My Little Pony with a hole in its buttocks. Yeah, but then again, it is My Little Pony, and sometimes, like, and this does not reflect on the whole My Little Pony community, but sometimes you never know if they did legitimately did that on purpose, because you know there are some My Little Pony toys that are used for those purposes. Not from Hasbro, but when they are fan-made, you gotta beware. Alright, I'll go and read one more comment before we jump into the final story here. Let's see now. I didn't read this one. Okay. Wow, this is a poor toy design, but overall the parents are overreacting to a poor toy design. Thankfully it didn't go too far like in the 80s where parents want to ban rock and metal music. That was just overreacting and gone too far. Exactly. So the thing is that I don't blame Hasbro for making the toy, but at the same time, I don't blame the concerned parents for their concerns either. Alright folks, it is now time that we are going to go and jump onto the grand finale, and boy, I think this is the case that I really saved the biggest news story for last. What is possibly the biggest movie news stories for last. If Ren and Stimpy isn't the most talked about or biggest thing that did occur this week in entertainment or specifically in animation and stuff like that, then this one certainly will. And we are going to be talking about Mulan, the upcoming Mulan remake that is coming to Disney+. Yes, folks, it is official. Disney is now sick and tired of waiting when they could go and officially put out their Mulan remake, and they said, screw it, they're going to go and skip the theaters altogether and put it onto Disney+. But hold on a minute, there is a little bit of a catch to this. It's not just that they are going to put it onto Disney+. They are also putting it on premium video on demand. Now you might think, well, that's not necessarily bad. You got the option to go to check it out on Disney+, or, you could pay the premium video on demand service to go and rent the movie, It's that kind of thing, right? Oh, no. The reason why this was very much talked about this week is not because it's going to be out on Disney+ and on premium video on demand. It's the fact that Mulan is going to be coming out on premium video on demand on Disney+, where the only way that you can go and access this upcoming Mulan remake is that you gotta go on Disney+, then you gotta pay a $30 rental fee to go and check out the movie. Now, in previous times, we have seen that when it comes to movies like Trolls World Tour or Scoob, when they were released on premium video on demand, they only had a $20 rental fee, but Disney decided to go and boost up the price, considering that it is a pretty expensive movie after all. Disney did spend $200 million on the budget alone, and that doesn't count on the marketing or advertisements and stuff like that they have already spent earlier this year. Now, technically, I will say that Disney has made a statement that this isn't going to be like a new thing. This isn't going to be something that will be a bit like a trend for Disney+. They have stated that this is just going to be a bit of a one-off deal. In fact, that is exactly what Bob Chapek has stated, where he says, reading from my source here on Variety, by the way, it says that we're looking at Mulan as a one-off, as opposed to saying there's some new business windowing model that we're looking at. Now, of course, this whole decision was very much controversial, not just on the factor of the Mulan remake moving to Disney+, but also moving to Disney+ with a premium rental fee. Now, I will say, though, that there are some people who are pretty happy about it. That they are pretty excited to go and finally get their chance to see the Mulan remake. One that I will say is actually pretty excited is the cinema owners. Right over here. Check this out. Seems like a happy chap there. And if you're only listening to this in audio and stuff like that, then, honestly, I don't even have to describe to you what is actually going on. You can even hear the fact that the individual in question was quite ecstatic and expressed his happiness for Mulan coming out in Disney+, in his own charming, unique, and family-friendly way. Okay, but, anyways, in all seriousness, though, one thing I gotta say is that I guess I'm not really all that surprised that Disney ultimately decided that they are gonna go and just end up screwing the release dates, or screwing the theatrical release dates, and just put Mulan onto Disney Plus. I mean, it was supposed to be coming out in March, but then they had to go and continuously delay it and delay it and delay it. I mean, they had to do it twice, where at one point it was supposed to be in July, but then they noticed that the pandemic was still getting worse, so they moved it to August, and it was still getting worse, so now they decided to say, screw it, we're gonna make people stay at home, and if they want to watch Mulan, they gotta put it on premium video on demand. So of course, there's no hiding that the main reason why Disney is doing this is mainly because of the pandemic. And when it comes to Disney, I don't really blame their decision either, mainly because they do not want to go and really take the risk of getting more backlash because of some of their responses related to the pandemic. I mean, technically, in a way, you could say that Disney should have followed a similar path to Warner Brothers, where they're still going to go and release Tenet, where it was supposed to be in mid-August, the release date, but now they have delayed it to, I think, around the same time, either the end of August or in the beginning of September. Like, Disney should have done that as well, in a way, but again, they don't want to take the risk. They don't want to face more PR nightmares, and they don't want to face more backlash because of their response of the pandemic and encouraging more social gatherings and more public events that would end up making people be crammed up together in one little area. And case in point, take a look at the backlash that they have received in terms of the opening of Walt Disney World. And they're still getting so much crap to this day for it. So they don't want to go and encourage more of that kind of representation. They don't want to go and get more of that kind of attention from the public. They don't want to face any more backlash. So they want to go into the safe route and just keep it onto they want to keep it onto Disney Plus. And I guess nowadays, considering that they did reveal that they've been losing so much money. In fact, they've been experiencing a lot of losses, mainly due to the closures of the Disney parks and stuff like that. But in this case here, it's a scenario that I personally feel like, yeah, Disney, I really don't blame them. And with Disney Plus, I guess, like, they're becoming more and more dependent on making that their main moneymaker during this pandemic, which is why we see a lot more decisions being made, where we see more movies than usual being put onto the streaming service, like Artemis Fowl or the Hamilton movie, the film in which they filmed the stage production and they decided to make a whole movie out of it. That's why they put it out on Disney Plus. That was supposed to be out on October of next year, but now Disney decided that they were in a serious emergency and decided to fully capitalize on Disney Plus, which is why they put out Hamilton. And I guess they're kind of doing the same thing with Mulan as well. And I will say, in all seriousness, though, I also don't blame the cinema owners being massively upset about this as well. Like, yeah, there are some, like AMC, that they're trying to be more understanding, and they say that they get it, they understand why Disney has to do this, but there's no denying that there are many theater owners that are greatly upset about this, and they see this as a bit of a sign that this could be the massive downfall of movie theaters, that maybe the age of cinemas is going to be that it's going to be over. We're going to see so many theaters that are going to be shut down in favor of this new platform, of this new service, that people are just going to be consuming their movies at home instead of going out and checking the films out on the big screen. And honestly, I feel like eventually, if things don't get better soon, especially in the United States, then they got to go and take action. Now, I've already stated many times in the past, in previous episodes, about the main reasons why America is now the global epicenter of the global epicenter of the pandemic. And I feel like if the situation doesn't get better anytime soon, then I feel like theater owners, they should actually go and sue those who are responsible for making the pandemic worse in America. That eventually theater owners should legitimately go and sue the Trump administration. They should sue the GOP and Republican politicians. And they should go and sue media outlets that spread far-right conspiracy theories that go against the health and safety guidelines of the coronavirus, like media outlets that try to promote anti-masks conspiracies, that tell people to not do social distancing and all that kind of stuff. Those are the elements that are causing the pandemic to be worse and worse and worse, and progressively worse in America, where the coronavirus is just not going away anytime soon. And I can guarantee you, when schools are going to be open, it's only going to be making things worse. And it's going to be, it feels like, I wouldn't be surprised if we'll end up seeing America averaging at 100,000 cases a day. That could be highly possible. But for now, like, with theater owners, where they're at the point where they're continuously losing money, they're at the point where they have to, like, if they are open in the first place, then they have to do limited capacity and spend a lot more money on on health, on making sure everything is clean 24/7, on masks, on sanitizers, on cleaning equipment and all that kind of stuff. Despite, even if they're open or closed, they're still losing money. And I feel like eventually there has to be a last resort where all the movie theaters or all the theater owners have to get together and form a class action lawsuit against those who are responsible for not taking care of the situation sooner than later. So really, I feel like it's going to be inevitable that theater owners have to take action if things don't get better with the pandemic, and that they can't safely reopen in these current conditions. But with that said as well, I want to take a moment to go back into what I was talking about with the Mulan remake. Let's go ahead and talk about what is probably the biggest elephant in the room in all this situation, and that is the $30 premium fee to rent Mulan. Like, a lot of people, they started out being pretty cool with the whole situation. You know, they started out fine, they're okay with having the Mulan remake coming to Disney+, but then there is the factor of, the $30 premium fee. And for a lot of people out there, that really is a massive make or break deal. Because it's not just the fact that you are paying $30, which, honestly, for renting a movie digitally, that is a pretty hefty price. I'll give you that. You know, that is a little, honestly, that's even a little bit more expensive than buying a new movie on Blu-ray. And that's, actually buying it. That's, actually owning it on a physical media. But in this case here, this is just renting it digitally. You're not even going to own it forever. You're just going to have it for a day or two, and then suddenly it's gone. It's literally just that. And for and it's not just $30. It's also the fact that it's $30 and it's already on top of what you're paying for Disney Plus. Because on that factor, $30 is almost half as much as an annual subscription to Disney Plus. So already, in terms of the streaming service, that's a pretty hefty price to pay to just rent a movie. And you'll notice that with the inclusion of the Disney Plus price, then at that point, you'll notice that the amount would actually slowly but surely accumulate. Really think about this. Imagine there is a guy who really wants to see the Mulan remake, is fully excited to go and actually check out this Mulan remake. He's been, the person has been a massive fan of the 1998 animated film and is really hyping themselves up to go and check out Mulan. Okay, so what does this person have to do to go and check it out? Well, first of all, they would need to go and get Disney Plus, but they didn't have Disney Plus, so they gotta go and actually subscribe to Disney Plus. Now, they're not going to keep it for long, so they're just going to go and pay the $7 monthly fee. Okay, so they'll just pay $7 to just have Disney Plus so they could just check out the Mulan remake. Okay, there is that. But then, On top of that, hold on, you gotta pay a little bit more now because there's a $30 paywall to go and see Mulan. So now the person has to go and pay an additional $30. So in total, that makes it $37 at minimum to go and check out the Mulan remake, if you do factor in the price for what you are paying for Disney Plus. And that doesn't even factor like some of the other deals that come with Disney Plus as well. I remember talking to a friend of mine, actually funny enough, I was talking to Devin, who was the special guest last week about this, and she actually told me that she doesn't just have Disney Plus, she actually has this package where you have Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, in which she is paying $14.99 for it. So that $37 price, that's just the minimum. There are some people that are paying $45 just for the purpose of seeing Mulan. Now, at that point, that actually becomes a bit more expensive, depending on where you are, than actually seeing a movie on the big screen. Think about it. The price of paying a ticket, the price of getting popcorn and getting your soda as well. Like, you would go and factor those, and somehow that becomes probably less expensive than experiencing Mulan the way Disney is offering. And at that point, a lot of people are kind of panicking in a way. Of course, with the internet, you would see a bit of over-exaggerations. Like, yeah, I know that Disney, in a way, did state that this is a one-off deal, which, again, I'm gonna really get into that later. But a lot of people are fearing that because Disney is doing this, that if this becomes successful, then it might end up influencing others as well. That it might end up influencing other streaming services like Netflix and HBO Max, where they might end up putting they might put up a video on demand fee in order to check out their next big movie. Because keep in mind, even if it is a streaming service, they are getting bigger and bigger to the point where like they can reach up to the levels of a big budget major studio picture. They could actually reach blockbuster levels with their budget. So you never know if maybe they could do that because of Mulan. And that's what many people are fearing right now in terms of what if this is successful? What if Disney's plan actually worked? Okay, now at that point, I want to introduce you all to an article that I found, again, coming from Variety. It is called Disney's Mulan Gamble, How Much Can It Make by Skipping Theaters? And I highly recommend you guys to go and check this article out because it is actually very fascinating because it actually really goes down into what should Mulan do in order to fully become successful? And this is an article written by Adam B. Very, and he talked with analysts and mathematicians and stuff like that. He talked to a lot of people regarding what Mulan should do in order to become successful. What are the magical numbers in order for this to be a hit on the current format that they have right now? And they really factored in a lot of different elements, including past experiences with what we have seen this year with movies like Trolls World Tour or Scoob even. And with this one, there is like the answer that we do want to find, by the way, is actually going to be right down here, I believe. Yes, it's this little section in which they have stated, by the way, another thing that you really do have to go and keep in mind is that with Mulan, again, the budget of the movie is $200 million, and the marketing is said to be probably an additional $50 million, which it will say in the article here. So anyways, let me go and read you the passage on what it takes for Mulan to be a hit. So, it says here, let's do some rather unforgiving math. If Mulan equals Trolls World Tour's perpetually record-setting debut, bearing in mind that Mulan cost $10 more per rental than Trolls World Tour did, on top of the Disney Plus subscription fee, Mulan would earn Disney just over $149 million in grosses in its first 3 weekends. That is, to put it mildly, not nearly enough to break even. So keep in mind, even if Mulan makes the same numbers as Trolls World Tour, then at that point, it would still be a flop because, again, the budget is $200 million. Now, to earn back the budget on premium video on demand service alone, Mulan would need to attract roughly 6.7 million rentals, or just over 11% of current Disney Plus subscribers, since it has been stated this week that there are now, I believe, around 60.5 million subscribers on Disney Plus, so they still have a pretty big amount, and I mean, 11% is not necessarily that big of a number. But let's go back into this again. So, then we would have to go and factor in an additional $50 million in total global marketing costs, a conservative estimate, by the way, bumps that magic number closer to 8.4 million rentals, or 13.8% of its subscribers. So in order for Mulan to be a hit, in order for Mulan to guarantee to be a success, it needs to make sure that about 14% of all subscribers of Disney Plus are willing to go and pay that $30 premium video on demand fee in order to check out the movie, and that is just to break even. And that is going to be a major risk. And honestly, I don't know if that means it will actually become successful, because on one hand, yeah, that is a pretty massive number that it needs. Like, honestly, Disney is really depending on 8.4 million people to go and rent Mulan on Disney Plus to actually shell out $30 to see the movie. But then, on the other hand, I will say that, on the other hand, it's not impossible, though. I will say that maybe Disney will have some very clever marketing tactics in mind that they will make people pay for that $30 million, $30 million, will pay for that $30 fee. Like, it's not, like, honestly, yeah, it's a massive number, but it's not impossible, is what I'm trying to say. And also, one thing that I need to go and express, one thing that I need to go and say regarding this Mulan remake, it really is the comment regarding what Bob Chapek has stated, the fact that this is a one-off. Okay, maybe he has a point, maybe he's right, and maybe in the future, excuse me, back to what I was saying, maybe in the future, the virus is going to get a lot better, especially in the States, where it would be safe for everyone to go and check out movies in theaters again, where Disney can go and distribute them on the big screen once more. Maybe that could be a thing. Maybe this Mulan this whole Mulan thing is a one-off deal. I'm going to say right now, I highly doubt that. I don't think so. I'm just going to say right now, I do not believe that this will be the only time nor the last time that we will see this happening. Rather it be in other streaming services or even with Disney Plus. I'm just gonna say that with how things are going with the pandemic, especially in the United States, I would not be surprised if coming this November that Disney is just gonna end up releasing some of their other big movies onto Disney Plus onto Disney Plus exclusively. So, like, right now, the only big movies that they really have left are, like, what? They got, let's see, what do they have? They got Black Widow, they got Pixar Soul, and with Fox, they got West Side well, I can't really say Fox anymore. With 20th Century, they got West Side Story. Now, maybe some people could say that with, like, West Side Story and with Black Widow, it's not going to happen because they did make massive deals with the companies that it can only be released in theaters exclusively. But with Pixar Soul, there's already a bunch of rumors that are saying that it has a strong chance to just move on to Disney Plus. So I wouldn't be surprised if that were to be the case. So, yeah, overall, it's gonna be pretty iffy. I don't know. Disney is taking a massive risk, but ultimately, I really don't know if this is gonna pay off or not. I could see this go either way, but ultimately, this is just a massive wait and see. Not just if Mulan is going to be successful or not, but if this will also end up reshaping the way movies are distributed on streaming services as we know it. Okay, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall now, and I want to ask you guys, what do you all think about Mulan being released on Disney Plus with a $30 fee? Are you guys inclined to actually go and check it out? Are you still going to see it regardless? Are you still willing to pay for it? Or are you ultimately going to pass on that? Let me know what you all think on this. Okay, so, let's see. Jeez Louise, $30 on Disney Plus? I get that live-action Mulan film ain't cheap to make, but still, is it really worth it? This might cause more people to ignore it and just peek at the original 1998 animated film. I just hope Seoul don't follow the same path. Funny enough, in my country Malaysia, the live-action Mulan is still coming in theaters in September, mainly because Disney Plus isn't available here. I might go see it where I live. The COVID cases have been less than 50 a day since early June. Oh, good for you guys. And yeah, that he actually does bring up a very good point. I just want to clarify also that for those countries who don't have Disney Plus, then those are going to be the ones that will have Mulan on the big screen. Like, they'll still go and distribute Mulan in theaters, but only towards countries that do not have Disney Plus. So just to make that big clarification. And also, it does reveal one major flaw that, in a way, is kind of really stupid. Where if you already have Disney Plus, you can either pay $30 to check the live-action remake, or not pay $30 and watch the animated film. It's kind of backwards when you do think about it, that the original animated film that the remake is based on, you could just go and check it out for free. You can practically get the same movie at at no cost at all, and the fact that it is animated and a lot of people really like it. So really, I don't know, it's just like with that additional factor as well, it's just like, it feels like another blow to a reason why people would want to go and rent Mulan on premium video on demand on Disney Plus. Okay, so let's see, what else do we got here? Even if they took the safe route, I could still see this movie failing. This movie has so much controversies around it that you could call this Disney's most controversial movie, not because of the size of the controversy, but because of the amount of controversies, so people would naturally avoid this movie. Even then, why would people pay over $30 just to rent this movie when they could watch the original for a lot cheaper? Yeah, and that's also another factor against the Mulan remake, is the controversy surrounding it. And you know, the internet, they got the mentality of we do not forgive and we do not forget. So you know that by the time this Mulan movie is going to be released, which has a September 4th release date, there are going to be those people that will bring back the controversies, like the star of the movie, Liu Yifei's response to the Hong Kong protests, and many, many more as well. Let's see now. Well, this was surprising. I actually do feel that if Mulan is successful, they will do this with Soul and Black Widow. However, I think they should have done this with New Mutants instead because of its smaller budget, and it seems Disney has no faith in the film after Dark Phoenix failed last year, and also the horrible luck it has been getting. Yeah, that is true, because technically, with an innovative move like this, with something that no one else has really done before, you could argue that technically this is way too big of a risk with a movie that is way too big in the first place. Like, honestly, I do see your point, and I do agree that they probably should have done it with something that is smaller and more experimental, like New Mutants. That way, they would be safer to know if that is a plan that could actually work out and beneficial, if they could actually find revenue with it. But with Mulan, they're taking way too big of a leap with this kind of experimental thing. Let's see, what else do we got? What the hell was Disney thinking with this? Why would they put it on Disney Plus with a $30 paywall when you're already paying for it instead of just putting it on iTunes and Google Play for $20? If I wanted to watch Mulan on Disney Plus, I could just watch the original for free. Exactly, that's a major point there. Imagine if they did this with Artemis Fowl. I bet many people would be very pissed about that depicting the movie's quality. Oh my god, Disney would be in freaking ruins if they did that with Artemis Fowl. Oh my god, like that film, like that is probably, like, Artemis Fowl is probably the most hated movie of 2020 right now. Imagine if you also added in the factor of like, oh, you gotta pay $20 or you gotta pay $30 to see this movie. That will just give an additional reason for people to get upset about this. Oh my god. Let's see now. I was upset about this news of seeing the Mulan remake being pushed to Disney Plus and paying $30 for the rental fee as well. I thought it would lose money for both Disney and theater owners, considering it needs money for the box office. Then again, because of America's ignorance, I can't blame them. But paying $30, even if I have Disney Plus, that's ridiculous. I know the movie's budget is big, but $30? I see if I want to pay this kind of price, but this is still ridiculous. Yeah, and I think that really is the problem. Like, I don't like, for me personally, I don't know about you, but I don't mind if it was just a premium video on demand for $30. That I wouldn't mind. But premium video on demand for $30 on Disney Plus as well, which I'm already paying for, that is a bit much, man. That is a little bit too much. All right, I'll go and read one more comment here. Let's see. I'm never going to watch this because the cost just feels like a scam, and all the controversies that's been happening, like the actress said, her support to police brutality for Hong Kong, then removing Li Shang because of the #MeToo movement, then letting South Korea boycotting your movie, then you let Donnie Yen supporting China after getting their hands on Hong Kong, and you deciding to drop it on Disney Plus for $30 to quote Reverend from Apex Legends, "Don't go thinking I owe you anything." Yeah, that's a pretty good way of saying it. And with that said, I think that should conclude this epic episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And what a wild episode that we've had so far. And I just want to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And tune in next week where we're going to have more insane stories coming your way. So with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, see you later, dudes!